So UFC 93 just aired. What did you think of the Rousey home fight?
Well, it was an amazing performance by Holly. I think Rhonda's game plan was a little flawed. I think obviously her strength has always been her grappling and her judo. So even though she did have some opportunity early in the fight with that part of the game, it looked to me like she was trying to strike with a very, very good striker. And a long, rangy, cagey, great footwork from Holly that made it difficult for Rhonda. She moved parallel and kept walking straight into those straight lefts, and I think ultimately the kick. I don't think she knew where she was at when she got kicked.
I don't think she did either.
And I think sometimes that happens. When you get it right, it's an amazing thing, and when you got it wrong, you know pretty quickly that you got it wrong.
If you had to bet $100 on which one before the fight, who would you have picked?
I would have picked Rhonda. I thought that Holly her footwork would give Rhonda trouble. But by the third or fourth round, I thought Rhonda would have it dialed in and get her hands on her and go to submission like she's done with just about everybody else. So I was quite surprised. Holly Holm did an amazing job. What an amazing performance.
Gotcha. And kind of switch it over to you now. Since you've been in MMA, and how has the men's division changed now since you've been in it?
Well, I think both divisions in the heavyweight and light heavyweight division are pretty deep. And there was a time period there when I came out of retirement to fight Tim that it wasn't very deep. It was just kind of the Tim Orlovsky show for a couple of years. So I think it's nice to see the depth. A lot of quality big guys now that can really move, that are full, the total pack. Cain Velasquez, he's got all the tools. He's got the grappling, the wrestling, the amazing striking, an amazing conditioning. I mean, there's a lot of really good fighters right now. I think I'm excited to see some of the old school fights that Bellator's putting on, see guys like Shamrock and now Hoist Gracie coming back, and so, Kimbo Slice getting back in there and seeing what he can do even. I mean, those are the kind of fights that people talk about over the water cooler, and that's one of the things I always loved about MMA.
Gotcha. And one last question: out of all the Rocky movies, which one's your favorite and why?
I think I still, growing up as kind of a Cold War child, I think Rocky IV with Drago and everything that Dolph did, and that dichotomy of the fancy training methods and equipment versus the kind of old school running in the snow and working in the barn.
Yeah.
I still think that was one of the most, and
That's
having
the best
wrestled,
training sequence
yeah,
ever.
and having wrestled, in USA versus Russia wrestling matches, it just had that feel to me. It was definitely one of my favorites.
Thanks, sir. I appreciate it.
This is Randy Couture, and you've just been buzzed.